This is India's treasure, India's asset. I was a bit disturbed that such beauty is going to be destroyed. I was like, more and more people should experience this. I don't think people understand, certainly the government doesn't understand. You're not going to be able to recover this once it's gone.
Some tribal people came to see me and they said, listen, we want you to go to the Andaman Nicobar Islands and we want you to see what is going on, the ecological damage that is going on in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. I've always had a sense that when someone is telling me, come and see what's going on, I always like to go and see with my own eyes. So on this trip, we went to the Andamans and the Nicobar. We spent a day in the Andamans. And the Andaman Islands, we went for a scooter ride. Okay, we met the locals there, we spoke to them. We met the tourists there, we had a chat with them as well. We are 100% on board with pushing and developing facilities for ecologically balanced tourism in the Andaman Islands. So I went to the Nicobar Islands, and to put it in perspective, we landed at INS Bars and they said, listen, we're going to go to the site of this project. Imagine that you're driving straight in a car for 40 minutes in the most pristine forest. That's the size of the project that they're building. Now, what is the plan? The plan is you cut these thousands and thousands of trees and you illegally ship them out and you make billions and billions of dollars, and you use that money to build your hotels, your casinos, and your little real estate play. That's what's going on. 161 square kilometers. Please understand this. This is 4 times New Delhi. Okay? And they're building this project in the most pristine ecological environment this country has. And they're snatching away the land from people who are made to settle there, and they're snatching away the land from tribals. Now, INS Bars, which is the Navy base that the Congress party has built, for 5 years has been asking for an expansion. If you want to make an argument, or you want to make a military argument, then absolutely expand INS Bars. Make it as big as you want. Okay? And by the way, there is no need to cut rainforest in INS Bars. I've seen it. Because around the INS Bars, there is plenty of land that you can expand. INS Bars is also on the coast. The point is that they want to help Mr. Adani. And these criminals are hiding behind the Navy, behind the forces, to steal Indian land. That's what's happening. They're saying they want to build a port, a transshipment port. It's a non-starter because they are already building a port in Kerala, which is on the mainland. So that's the first lie. The second point, please explain to me, where do hotels, rest houses come in to the defense of our country? How are they correlated? The other lie that they're telling is that this forest has 145 trees a hectare, which is basically a lie. This forest has 145 trees in a few meters, not a few hectares. The problem is you want to steal 1.5 crore trees, each of which cost 3 lakh rupees, and fund your own little real estate play. That's the problem. So don't give me this nonsense about defense of India. Every single BJP person who's spreading this is trying to protect Mr. Adani and his interests and his link with the Prime Minister of India. Let me repeat it. You want to build the best defense facility. INS Baz has been asking for the last 5 years for expansion. Give them full right of expansion. Allow them to expand as much as they want. There's no need to destroy any rainforest over there. You can give them the best equipment. You can scale their base up as much as we want. We will support you 100%. We don't want Mr. Adani sitting in Nicobar Island. So there are two communities that stay there. Number one, the tribals, who are the original owners of this land and who lived on this land. And second, the settlers. These are ex-military people from the Indian Defence Forces who were sent there by the Indian government to make an Indian presence, to make a presence of our own people on the islands. Now, their land is just being taken away without any fair compensation.
फादर क्या करते थे?
फादर आर्मी में था,
अच्छा।
फौज में। तो वहाँ से हम सेटलमेंट होके यहाँ हमको लाया गया। आज यहाँ पर इस तरह हाल में है, क्या कर सकता है? तो बताइए क्या करना है, यहाँ कैसे जिए?
हम कोई मदद करते, ठीक है?
जी।
आप घबराइए मत।
A trick was played on the tribals. They went and made them sign NOCs. These people didn't know what they were signing, and they have forcibly made them give away their own land without asking them, without going into the procedures of the Forest Rights Act.
We were told that the FRA was not used, it was misused, people were not asked questions. Can you give us, how you feel the FRA was not used?
The FRA is very clearly modeled and is given a format as to how an FRA process of a meeting and for a Gram Sabhas can take place. Secondly, the meetings that were were conducted under the Gram Sabhas of Lakshmi Nagar, Shastri Nagar, and other settler community villages where there's no tribal community who has rights over the forest. So that's the first and big flaw of claiming or kind of seeking to claim that an FRA meeting has been conducted for diversion of forest land amongst people who have no rights to those forests. Actually, the rightful owners of those forests are the tribal community.
It's like doing FRA in Delhi.
Exactly.
That let's not do it in Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand. Let's do it in Delhi.
Delhi. And you and I are people who are non-tribals are being who are responding on behalf of somebody else. It doesn't make sense at all.
Right.
So the second issue is just having one person on board as a tribal community person, as a representative of the entire tribal community is also not correct. There are stipulated norms and the numbers of people who will be present in those lands, and one person can't sign off on the lands of diversion of somebody else's lands. Yep. So it's a very clear-cut violation of the norms and the rules through the FRA. In 2018, under the aegis of the Niti Aayog, there was a subcommittee formed. I was also part of it, and our objective was to try and record and report on from the ground as to how the tribal communities responded to this entire proposal. And it is very clear that the settler communities had a yearning for development, and they still do. They have been denied and been apathetic to the developmental needs of the community there. Whereas the Nicobaris were very clear that they did not want tourism on in their villages or their land. They wanted to be left alone to carry on their own lives. And most important was actually the Champagne, who we interviewed and got on camera.
किनारे में सफाई करके इधर बना होता है तो ये बोलता है जंगल सफाई करने से इधर करो नाली समुद्र किनारे में कर दो हम लोग का पहाड़ में चढ़ना नहीं टिकरी बिल्कुल चढ़ना नहीं
Champagne, both women and men, only one man is there in the video, which is not made public, but where both the old lady and the man says, please do not come into our forest. These are our forests where we feed our children. And that voice has not been adhered to or heard from the people concerned.
Tell us a little bit about the destruction of coral and, this idea that they suddenly said the coral doesn't exist. I mean, I was shown a older map of coral and then a new map where suddenly there's no coral.
It's true that if you compare that map between 20 and 21, corals have disappeared, which definitely raises sort of serious concerns. Another interesting point is that these reefs are fringing reefs. So in official documents that where they've changed the map, they've also called these reefs as atoll reefs. which is not true. These are all fringing reefs. They start growing from as shallow as 1 feet and they go down up to 25 meters. And they, of course, grow in areas where they need sunlight because the animals, they need photosynthesis. So they grow in up to 25 meters. So they are found everywhere. And definitely in terms of damage, if there is a proposed project goes ahead, there's definitely going to be big impact to the corals. Another point is maybe which is that corals are under Schedule 1 of the Indian Wildlife Protection Act, which means they have given highest level of legal protection, as stringent as what tiger gets. So killing a coral is as a punishable offense as what you have for tigers. And that is something which is not spoken about.
So destroying Nicobar corals is as if you're killing hundreds and hundreds of tigers in India. That's the same. It's
Exactly.
the equivalent, right?
Yeah.
You're basically wiping out a huge chunk of valuable resource for India, a biological resource for India. And it's similar to essentially destroying Project Tiger.
Coral reefs, of course, they provide home to variety of associated organisms. So that's also something to consider. And some of the species are endemic. They're not found anywhere else. So there are a lot of associated fauna which will also get impacted. And one more point which I want to mention is that sort of coral reefs, when we talk about it, of course, they provide habitat, they boost fish diversity, all of that is there, but they also sequester a lot of carbon. Right. So they are big carbon sinks. So they are very important from that point of view. So it's not just biological diversity or the spectacularness, but there is also the role, the ecological role that they play.
You know, whenever someone comes to me and says, oh, I just went for a holiday and I went to the ocean or to the seaside, I always tell them that no, you actually haven't seen the sea. You know, then the reason I say that is because when I was about 16 years old, I went to the Andaman Nicobar Islands, and for the first time, I saw a sea that I had never ever seen. Completely blue, clear, transparent water. You could look down, 50, 60, 70 feet, and you could see the bottom of the sea. For many years, for me, that was what was the sea. We went to Barren Island for a dive, which was absolutely fantastic.
It's a little advanced, I would say, challenging lifestyle. And I got to know you're an advanced diver and used to take
I'm a dive
photos.
master.
Oh.
I became a dive master in college.
I really enjoyed diving for 2 or 3 reasons. One is it's technical. If you are an experienced diver, you're generally diving on the edge. You're diving close to where risk is. So I like that aspect of it. It's like another planet. The fish are doing their own thing. Each one has its own little sphere. They're fighting with each other. They're running from each other. They're friendly. So it's a completely different universe. It's a beautiful universe. In fact, pretty much anybody who's seen it with his own eyes is hooked. So for me, swimming or diving or free diving are going back to your origins and being comfortable in your roots. And that's how I think about forests or animals or jungles. This is not something that is detached from us. This is part of us. I learned this from the tribals. One day I was having a conversation with some tribal people and I asked them, why are you getting so upset if they're cutting trees? And one of the tribal ladies says to me, you don't understand, but when they cut trees, it's as if they're cutting us. It's as if they're cutting my own stomach. And that's actually the reality. Because what people don't realize is when you go around cutting trees, when you go around killing animals, you're actually cutting yourself. And you might not see the consequences of this immediately, But you will see the consequences of it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years later. Certainly your children and their children are going to see the consequences.
Also, the thing is, in our philosophy, unlike the Western philosophy, you can listen to the sea, you can talk to the sea. In Western philosophy, the sea is something to be exploited, something to be used, something to be conquered. In our philosophy, you are the sea.